1 second.
Take your time. If you are you on a computer or on your phone?
A computer.
So move your scroll a little, and then look at the bottom left-hand side. You'll see the a video.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
And then it has probably a red line on it. You may want to click it.
Okay.
And then we'll see your wonderful face.
Okay.
Okay, I think something's yeah.
There we go.
Excellent.
David.
Awesome.
Thank you. Hi.
Perfect. Hi.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I kind of feel like I know you at this point.
Excellent.
With all the conversation and texting.
Where do we find you? Are you in the
I'm
East?
in the basement. Yeah, the basement of the East. It's the most quiet place.
Okay.
It's,
brilliant.
There might be some sounds from upstairs. Just the floors are very, very thin, but yeah, it should be good.
Okay,
awesome.
Good. I apologize. There's a daycare next door to me, so we may have screaming kids.
I got a daycare next door too, so it's
okay.
Right.
I'm gonna throw you under the bus then and blame you. So Liza's used to that.
I am very used to that, and I can have choppy Wi-Fi sometimes. So you know what? We all have something, right?
Excellent.
So David,
awesome.
We want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. Where I know you for a bunch of years now.
Yeah.
And honestly, behind your back, I want to say that I botched your last name until maybe 2 weeks ago. And unrelated to this talk that we're going to have, I was Mattachioni.
And that's okay. Because it's English.
Yeah, but still, a friend was, no, it's Mattachioni. And then we saw the page that you sent us. So
either one is fine. It's not a big deal.
Okay. So
you've probably gotten used to quite a few options in how people pronounce your name.
Yeah, close enough is always good. But no, Mattachioni is fine. I think my father says Mattachioni, so it's
as long as you pay at the cash register.
You're right.
Exactly.
You can call me whatever you want.
Exactly.
So I'd like to introduce David Mattachioni, owner of Mattachioni's, and his first location was opened and located on Dupont Street at the West End. And he's just recently opened a second restaurant / bodega store on Gerrard, right next to Coxwell. 2 stores that I highly recommend. There's a personal element for me here where I used to live on a second floor over a barber shop just across his first store. And he opened when I lived up there. And I feel like I told him I was his first security guard, where they'd be moving things in and out. And I was nosy because I wanted to know what the hell's going on in there. He was replacing a Portuguese restaurant, a bakery, and everybody was, what's going in the neighborhood? And it was kind of in transition. And you definitely improved the neighborhood by coming in.
Thank you.
So I'd like I really love, you gave us kind of it's not a mission statement, but a page with information about you, which blew me away. And giving usually companies are formal and you go and sit with people and trying to summarize what your business and who you are about. And here you did it in such a beautiful way, as I said. And I just love it. Like you're talking about, what your store, you want it to be. And you said sometimes people just need to use the restroom. And of course we let them, or neighbors want to leave packages delivered at the store because you're there. And if they want sourdough, you're going to give them sourdough. So that was unbelievable. And I think, when things are aligned, and I know you and your restaurant, this is super aligned with what the sense I got from you guys. And also I wanted to say your sourdough is fantastic. I don't buy a lot of bread because I know everything about bread, obviously, even my other job. But definitely your sourdough is out of this world, and so are other things. And I just discovered your pomodoro, I think, and I'm watching that the tomato sauce.
The tomato sauce, yeah.
Man,
very good pronunciation, Alon. Very good. Bravo.
I'm outnumbered by Italians here, so I will screw up every Italian. I know Liza taught me a few bad words in Italian, so I'll save your.
I was like, not on this show.
No, no mention of pelotas, but.
Anyway,
so just that tomato sauce is unbelievable, both on pasta sauce and as a pasta sauce, and secondly, I cooked, I poured it over French beans and baked it in the
nice.
oven, man. Just added a little olive oil and salt. It was better, almost better than my aunt's beans in tomato sauce. So
Thank you.
yeah, it's up there. Yeah. So again, thank you really much, very much for joining us.
I just wanted to ask if I can just interject, Alon. I was reading your bio, David, and the one part that kind of jumped out to me is about making the world a better place.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, like, where did that come from? Is that something like from your parents, your upbringing, or did you notice it was a need in Toronto?
Well, I mean, it's in general, it's just, it's better to make the world a better place. You don't have to solve huge issues.
Right.
You can do little things that help your neighbors, help your friends. And if everyone's just a little bit nicer, then that might improve someone else's day. And then, because everyone has bad days, everyone screws up, everyone, everyone is hopefully growing, hopefully improving, so that if you can continually try and improve yourself or help others improve themselves, even if it's just, letting someone use the washroom because they really have to go. Like right now in COVID, I know for my wife and my son, sometimes like she has to go to the washroom and you can't go into a store anymore and use the washroom.
Yeah.
It's if you can just lend a hand, whether it's holding a door, helping someone move a box down the street, letting someone have a package delivered at your house, like
the simple things.
Yeah.
Simple things. Yeah.
Because a lot of the times you can't do big things. Like you can't build a school for people who need it, and you can't improve a bridge for someone who needs it, but you can hold the door for someone.
Absolutely.
You can help move a box. A lot of small things can build up to a big thing.
Awesome. Good. I love it.
So
Thanks.
David, yes.
I
want to just give a little history of your background. Obviously, I know you since you have Mattachioni, but Googling your name, there's some information out there. And so for the listeners to know, you worked with Teroni for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
I find that outstanding. I respect that company very much, and their product and atmosphere and customer service.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned also you didn't say working at the Octopus, but you said your dream job may be also being a busboy in the Octopus. What's that about?
It was a small nightclub that I worked on. It used to be on Palmerston. It's where Woodlot used to be, right behind Bar Raval.
Okay.
So there was an original nightclub called Octopus Lounge behind Noche on Queen Street.
Yeah, that's what I remember. There were always really cool sounds coming out of it. I always felt it was too cool for me to walk into.
Me too. But when I started working at Teroni, it was just down the block, and they would always come and get change for their bar, and we would go there to dance after our shifts, and it was all welcoming, all inclusive. You'd show up in, whatever you wanted. We'd finish playing soccer, we'd go to work, we'd come over in our flip-flops, and the music was always the best. Everyone was just there to have fun. And then when it moved locations, I was still working at Teroni, and I got a job bussing there. And it was nothing. You got to listen to music all night. You got to have some drinks. You saw all your friends. You got to dance. It was you got to work at a party, and
awesome.
it was a lot of fun.
I feel that I got shortchanged because I started as a dishwasher in a Jewish deli at Lawrence and Bathurst. The vibe was a little different, and so was the abuse from the old customers. But that's a different story. So thank you again. And then just to mention also the Norman Hardy pizza venture. I was there. I'm ashamed to say I was there for the first time this summer. It was beautiful and beautiful scenery and good pizza also. And you started that, right? We
did. Me and Daniel Usher went up the very first year he started doing pizza. Daniel Usher has a restaurant called the 4-7 on Bloor Street. And we went up to train the original staff that he had at the time. Daniel also worked for Libretto. And every year, their first year, they were making sort of, a couple pizzas a day, 10 pizzas a day type thing. And about 4 years after that, when I started going up just to hang out and, drink wine and have some fun, they were getting busier and busier, and I would help with pizza until the point where they sort of needed a lot more sort of organization and help. And I got hired for the ending of that summer to sort of streamline things. And I was there for two full summers, and by the end we could make 400 or 500 pizzas a day.
Wow.
And it was crazy. It was a great experience. I basically had my own pizza restaurant up there, because it was it was on Norm's property. He paid all the bills, and I really got to learn sort of a lot of food costing, management, organization. It was and because you were busy every day, I mean, it was great, because it was high volume. I really got to improve. We got to become efficient with what we were doing, and we made excellent pizza, and he still does. And they now have, when I was there, it was me, Megan, who at the time, I don't know, I was in my 30s, I guess. Megan was probably 15, and she was my main pizza maker, her and I together, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of young people started working there and got involved in kitchen jobs later on. And the pizza's still strong. They make hundreds and hundreds, and I wouldn't be surprised if on a long weekend they could do 1,000 pizzas in a day.
Yeah,
just
Wow.
when I was there, it was excellent. So from there on, you opened your store. Wasn't there kind of a parallel?
Well, there were
doing
two.
both at one time.
I would work at Norm's in the summer, and then I would come back for the winter and work in the city. So his job was seasonal, and I would sort of work the Victoria weekend to Thanksgiving weekend, and then I would come back to the city. And I worked for Chef Ted Corrado at the Drake 150. And I made pizzas there. Jonas, the baker, who's now in charge of the commissary, I believe, the Drake's commissary. He was my first chef baker that I worked for, and I got to load the ovens and score some loaves, and I got to get a real sort of foot in the water with sourdough breads,
Right.
and baking on I guess a larger scale than baking from home, and just seeing how also different kitchens were organized and how they were run. And it's always neat to walk into another spot and see how they do it, because like, oh my God, like that's the smartest thing I've ever seen.
How did I not think about it?
Exactly.
Right.
So I worked for the Drake 150 one sort of winter season from Thanksgiving until May, and then I went back to Norm's, and then I came back. I worked at a place originally was called Chita, and then it turned into a restaurant called Figo. And their first location has since closed, but I worked there with Chris McDougall and Ben Heaton, and I did my winter season there in charge of the pizza section, and it was good. It was a difficult run. It was a really cold winter, and having come from the companies like the Drake, Taroni, Norm's, where you were guaranteed to be busy no matter what. City Place, where we were located, was still a little bit new, and it was a hard, slow winter, and it was even more of a learning opportunity just to see how to manage when things don't go according to plan.
It's funny. Like, I think you come from super busy restaurants that have developed a clientele, and the people come through the door, and you just had to make the food good.
Yeah.
So I think by experiencing a slow restaurant, you need to wear other hats too, right? And
exactly
figure out, how do we bring them in? So you learn so much more.
Get them through the door, get them to come back, and then how do we staff accordingly for it? Because everyone has bills to pay, and it's trying to keep keep staff employed and also motivated, because it's hard when you're looking at a dining room and there's no one in there and you're ready to go.
I remember those days when we opened our store on Young Street, and you look out, so many people outside and nobody inside, and it
nobody's
kills
coming in.
you. It kills you. I got older those days faster.
Chitao is a beautiful restaurant, though. The food was great.
Oh,
yeah, because I lived down the street from that, and when it opened, we were excited. We were like, "Oh my god!" I mean, I love pubs, but it wasn't like your typical kind of bar or pub. It was like a restaurant. The food was great.
It was a full restaurant, and I think had we had a spring opening, it was also delayed. I mean, it was a few, but again, the restaurant has since gone on to become fantastic. And it closed that location and reopened at on John Street, I think, John in Adelaide. But it was having that experience of a slower restaurant was invaluable, because when we opened our store in Dupont, it was even slower.
Thousands of people not walking on the street didn't come in. So David, we haven't started our interview yet, just so you know. This was just a little chit chat, and now the heavy lifting is starting. Are you ready?
Yeah, now
I'm ready.
Get ready.
Very hard hitting questions.
Okay.
So Liza, you want
sounds like he can handle it. Sure. So we're gonna briefly talk about COVID, because obviously, it's happening and we don't want to completely miss it. And so we just want to understand from your perspective, because wow, you have been in the industry. Like, it sounds like it's been your life really at this point. So how has COVID affected your business? Like, what would you say have been the drawbacks or the opportunities, but how has it affected you and the business?
Well, initially it was devastating because everyone got laid off.
Sure.
The March 16th of 2020, I think, or the 17th, I left the day, it was my son's birthday that day, and I left around 6, and the staff knew that was their last shift, and I just said, have a great night, drink whatever you want, and have some fun, because
we didn't know. Nobody knew anything. Yeah.
I said, I don't know what's going on. I'll try to keep you posted as I know more.
Yeah.
We always had a small grocery section, and there was a lot of grocery and sort of prepared foods that I wanted to focus on.
Yeah.
We just never had the time because of the focus on the dining room.
It always seemed to me that your grocery was actually your storage area, right? So it's ingredients that you're using at the restaurant, but you just kept them up front for customers to buy. Yeah.
So they were always for sale. Anything that we had at the restaurant, the customers were, free to buy. It's just, I guess we didn't market it very well. No, some people knew, some people didn't know. They always knew we sold bread, but you can, buy tomatoes and onions and carrots and celery.
Brilliant.
And once the pandemic started, we had no use for our tables and chairs. So our landlords who live upstairs were super nice. We put everything into their laneway, and we moved all that produce into the front window. We have a big front window, so if people were walking by, they could see that there were fresh vegetables in the window. And we, out of necessity, there were huge lineups at the major grocery stores, and even
Yeah.
smaller stores.
And people were afraid to enter large stores.
Yeah.
It was really difficult, and we were able to start selling the basics and improve upon it. It was, we were allowed to stay open because we did do takeout, and we do sell groceries, and we had already, people knew our basics: milk, eggs, butter, cheese, and we started selling flour and avocados, and we got in more vinegars and pasta, and we started dry aging steaks and making sausages, and we were really able to sort of focus on a lot of stuff that we wanted to do, but we didn't have the time.
Dave, today, how big is that section out of your sales, without giving out numbers? So, like, what percentage is grocery versus takeout? Do you know offhand?
No, I don't. I would imagine though it's 50%, maybe 60% groceries. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was 70.
That's a lot that contribute a lot of contribution to the bottom line.
Yes, it's it's been great. It didn't happen overnight. But a lot of our staff is passionate, they're imaginative, and we were able to figure out, what can we make, what's going to last, what's going to sell. And everyone's put in a huge effort. In the beginning, our head chef at Dupont, Theophil, he would come back 3 hours a day to help me out. And then, 3 weeks after the first lockdown started in 2020, then we started bringing back a couple of the front of house people,
Right.
because people were starting to order pizzas for takeout dinners. And
Yeah.
the neighborhood in the Junction Triangle where we are, and all of our customers every Friday since the pandemic started, 60 Fridays now, you would never know that we didn't have a dining room.
Wow.
They
That's
completely
awesome.
so supportive. It's it's friends from high school. I had one friend from high school, Loretto, who lives in the East End. I recognized her husband. He came in because he was walking his dogs in Hyde Park, and he bought a lot of groceries. And oddly enough, an hour later, her mother came in to buy a bunch of groceries. And one of my cousins came in with his husband, and they bought a bunch of groceries. And there was such a huge amount of support from people to come in. And luckily we had, stuff that maybe they didn't, need as much as they bought, but we had stuff that was useful for our community, and the neighborhood really supported us.
Yeah. I think it's a testament to how you conduct your business, and how those little actions that you talked about earlier of opening the door and being human to every person, no matter what, it paid off, because people came because they cared for you and loved you. I think now it transformed, because you're mastering that grocery area. Now people are coming because they want it. It's not you're doing them a favor almost. And I just want to say that you had a big impact, I think, on the city from that bodega kind of style. You were one of the first, if not the first, I'm not sure. But I know that we as a business, definitely, I sent my brother over to check out your store and say,
nice.
look at what David is doing there. And we adopted from, we were looking for ideas, and now the front of our restaurant is also a store. And I thank you for that, because you did it so well. And at first is why will it be a store? Why will people come to a restaurant to do shopping for their home? But now they are, and a lot has changed.
We have some people that don't even know we're a restaurant.
Come on,
really?
There was a customer
on Gerrard, right? You're more of a store.
No, even at Dupont, we had a customer. A pizza box came out, and they said, "Oh, you make pizza here?" Just like, yes, we do. That was the dream.
And I just I want to say just that you mentioned your staff earlier, and maybe 4 days ago, I stopped by the Gerrard store, and I came to buy more of the pomodoro sauce, and I wanted to give my father some, because I was excited to share with him. But I was talking to the guy at the front cash, I don't know who he was. Yeah. And I was excited about sharing the stuff with him. And we started a whole conversation about tomato sauce. And then listen, and he doesn't know me. I'm just a stranger. And you need to, tell our chef in the back what you recommend to make. And we really listened to customers. And then he started saying that you make other things with the tomato sauce. And we got into a whole conversation. So
fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It was really nice. I wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sounds like you've really been able to react quickly. We hear that, everyone's pivoting, but it sounds like you guys moved really quickly once the pandemic hit.
Yeah, it was. It was. Well, some of the stuff I had wanted to do for a long time, so it was in the back of my mind. But also, we needed to do something, because there's still rent to pay. It was my wife. She's in school, so she was at school, also looking after our son full time.
Right.
And there's rent on the apartment, rent on the store. It's there's insurance to pay. It was, and to only have one staff member, it's not a lot of labor. And obviously I was drawing only the money I needed to cover the bills. But it was not, I don't know if fear is the right word, but it was just like, holy shit, we need to figure out what to do.
You swim or you sink. That's
exactly.
And business is full of those junctures where you have no choice. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you had a lot of opportunity too, because you had stuff in the back of your mind that you wanted to try, and now is your opportunity to try it. So
also, David, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I think we also had the added benefit. I mean, at the time we were just over 5 years old. So we like had this happen the first year when we had zero customer base. I don't know. Right. I don't know, if it would be going this well, but we had sort of been around for a little while. So it was, I think it was a little bit, easier for that. Had we been a brand new store, it might have been a bit different, but there's so many new stores that have opened up, even our second location. I think the neighborhood, whatever neighborhood you're in, whatever country you're in, I think people have been really receptive to people, opening new ventures to try and help their neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And it shows, like, a lot of businesses, I mean, a lot of businesses are going out of business, but the people who are trying to do something are getting support from their neighborhoods, which is
but you need to think outside the box and take action and be lucky also. Like, there's an element of luck.
Yes.
So now we're moving, we're gonna cover 3 areas kind of, and this is upfront Toronto. So we're conversations with people that move the city forward, and I definitely consider you being like an integral part of Toronto. To me, your stores like really represent a lot of what Toronto is. The word unassuming is also one of those, and quality and real and heart. Mm-hmm. So we're going to cover career part, a few questions about career. We'll touch a few personal points, and then about the city, and then we'll wrap up. If that's okay. So David, what was your first job?
I did laundry for the medical clinic that my mom worked at.
Laundry, so like
the gowns, the gowns in the medical rooms, the house coats and the towels, and I would get 10 cents a gown, 25 cents a towel, and 50 cents a house coat.
And you wash them at home 10. Or a laundry?
Yeah, my mother would bring the laundry home Friday night, and I would wash it Saturdays and Sundays. And she didn't make me buy my own detergent, and most of the time she ended up finishing it for me. But it was doing laundry for Yorkview Medical Center. I still go there. My doctor, Dr. Ian, hi. He's still there. But after that, I think my first job was I was a vendor at Skydome at the Rogers Center, selling popcorn, running up and down the aisles.
So you were a vendor. Oh, you worked for the Skydome.
I worked for McDonald's Canada, and I would, popcorn, peanuts, caramel corn, Smarties.
And how old were you then?
I was almost 16. I was just before I turned 16.
Yeah, I always wonder how many stairs those guys run up and down all day.
A lot.
At the end of the day, are you exhausted, or are you going?
Well, I was lucky because I was on the 100 level, so it was a very shallow. It wasn't very steep. The people that had to work on the 500 level, it was brutal.
So you had connections. You were assigned to the 100 level.
Yeah.
I have to say though, David, your mother was smart. She taught you how to do laundry.
Oh yeah,
it's very clever.
It was
Liza. What was your first job, by the way?
My first job was, well, I had a paper route, but I don't know if that counts. But I worked at a donut shop. Oh, nice. I worked at a donut shop, and they made pizzas, and it was a Hungarian couple. So it was good stuff. Yeah, and it was fun. That first job is like so. You get to make your own money. Like suddenly, it was good. Good.
It's freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true, yeah.
Exactly.
We got to Canada a second time when I was 16, and we had no money whatsoever, and I had to find a job. to be able to buy clothes. So that dishwashing job was the best job also.
Yeah.
So even though it wasn't as cool, you know, in the evenings you'd stay longer and chat up with the servers, and it introduced me to a whole lot of a completely different life. And yeah, I learned a lot, so much from that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like, what would you consider your best failure in business?
Oh,
It's such an oxymoron, isn't it? Your
Yeah.
best failure.
Or challenge, you know, we can infuse any word. What was and what did you learn from it?
I think being direct with I guess expectations for the company, for the staff members. It was I'm not a very confrontational person, and just over the past, the first couple years, bumbling on trying to express what I needed from people for the company didn't always turn out very well, and just learning that to be direct is the easiest way, because it makes for the conversation to be easier. It allows me to listen to the team, and allows them to hear sort of what it is that I want. So by learning to be more clear with what I want is the only way people are going to understand, and then they'll know what it is that I expect, and they can give honest, positive feedback of what they feel about it. And if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But
so at the beginning, you were too friendly with them. You didn't want to hurt their feelings. What was it?
It was. Maybe it was, maybe not recognizing that, my role is a little bit different. I mean, I want everyone to have fun, but we also need to make sure that it's a safe and working environment. Not that anything, unsafe has happened, but, safety is the first thing. But realizing that my role isn't to be, one of the gang. My role is to lead, and if I'm not clear on the goals for the company, then it's easy for people to get off track. And
yeah, it sounds almost like being a parent also. So in under 10 words, like, what is the best advice that you've received business wise? You can go over 10 words.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's
whatever
just
comes
start.
to mind.
It's just start. If
Right.
just start. Whatever you don't need, whatever you think you need to get the job done, you don't. Like, think about something else. It's everybody right now that are starting their own food delivery services through Instagram. Like, everyone you see that's making pasta, that's making Filipino dishes, like.
Yeah.
You go on Toronto Life or you go on Instagram, everyone that's starting their home catering businesses, they don't need a rational oven. They don't need a deep fryer. They don't need a brick and mortar space. Just start. You have a pot, you got a pan, start cooking, put it in a box. It's just start. Like, if it's that easy.
What made you start? Like, what do you remember the moment that you made that decision to open your own restaurant? Because until then you always had the luxury of being an employee. So you didn't take all the risks, but you did take some of the glory, right? Because you're the guy,
Yes.
you're the guy making the good stuff. So do you remember the moment that, and if you can describe it?
I remember I gave my notice at Teroni. I had been there 14 years, and it was scary because I grew up with these people. They're a huge influence on my life. They still are. I'm still friends with them. They're mentors in every way, and they're friends in every way. And I felt like I was leaving a family. and I gave my notice. I was so nervous. I gave 6 months. I was so
Wow.
nervous,
Oh,
and
They
everyone
were probably
everyone was
wanting
so
at the 5
supportive.
months, wanting to kick you out of there already. Go,
But everyone was
spread your wings.
everyone was so supportive, and they had a little party for me on my last day, and it was great. It was great, and as soon as I left there, I took probably a 60% pay cut. I could barely pay my rent.
So the big decision was telling them you're leaving. Like, this is huge, leaving a place that you've worked for 14 years.
Mhm.
And then the second one, when did you take the first commitment where, you know, you make that signature, maybe taking the rent or the location? Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, that was I remember all the confirmations of, like, the paperwork went through and everything was signed. That was in May of 2015. It was around the 20th, because we got the keys on May 28th, and we opened July 1st of 2015. And I remember
wow,
we
you
got
moved quick,
had no choice.
It didn't seem quick at the time.
right?
We had no money,
Right.
and we had a coffee machine, we had some beer, we had the bakery that we took over had a liquor license
Perfect.
and a coffee machine. And we knew we didn't even have food. We didn't start making food until the second week. But I remember we put paper up over the window, or they put paper up over the windows. We got the keys, and I remember just being in there and then being really overwhelmed, like, oh my God,
It's happening.
It's a commitment.
This is happening.
and
Yeah.
it's like, I gotta clean this place, I gotta paint it, I gotta, make it mine, and then we gotta open, and then we need customers to come. And I was opening a pizzeria, and we didn't even have our oven yet. It was we didn't start making pizzas until November of 2015.
Yeah, you were building that oven yourself.
Yeah, and it was.
I can testify that you invested minimal amount in that restaurant, and
Yes.
it may
A
be
lot
on
of
purpose or
paint.
not, but it worked really well.
But I'll tell you, the scariest, I think the scariest day was our first day making pizzas in November. Having been used to working at pizza places that were doing, on a slow day it would be 100 pizzas, and I think our business plan took into account sort of 80 to 100 pizzas a day, and which seemed reasonable to me at the time. And I remember that first day we started pizzas on, I think it was a Tuesday for some reason. From pizzas were 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and we made 2 pizzas
It's terrifying.
the entire day. And
Did
the
you
next,
question everything
what-
at that point?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I sat in the back alleyway. I would
After
smoke
you
packs of
finished
cigarettes
crying.
and beer. Yes, I would be on the phone constantly with friends, mentors, just, oh my God, like, there's nobody here. There's nobody here. What do we do? And just keep making a good product, even if no one's eating it. Make sure it's good, because someone's going to try it, and stick to it. Like it.
Did they have the big office at the who are they? The
Fresh Books.
Fresh Books. They were just starting at the time, right?
They had just moved in. Yeah.
So yeah.
And we had a sort of a set menu of sandwiches, salads, and then pizzas, and we had a lot of customers, wanting us to offer different things, and it wasn't stuff that I was familiar making or wanted to make. And luckily there were lunchtime customers, and that kept us alive. Like the neighborhood.
Right.
The neighborhood has been
Did you
integral.
give though? Did you stick to your guns in terms of your vision, or did you make changes to the menu because of customer requests?
Right.
No, we still stuck to the food that we wanted to serve. But we started small only because we were very small. I knew I wanted to offer various items. At one point, our first menu, we had one vegetarian sandwich and the rest were pork based. So there was one man that always come in, and he would always have the tomato sandwich. And I was like, damn, we need another vegetarian option, because this guy,
Yeah.
I feel bad. Like, he always orders the same one. Like, maybe he just loves it. And so we made a pickled eggplant sandwich. It was pickled eggplant, tomato, ricotta, and arugula. And he came in. I was all excited to tell him about the sandwich. I'm like, oh, we have this new sandwich, the scapeche. It's really, really good. And he's like, oh no, I'll have the pork sandwich. Just like,
No.
Making assumptions.
yeah, and it 100%.
But how successful is the eggplant sandwich now?
Oh, it's fantastic. And I
Yeah.
mean, it was also a sandwich that I wanted to make. Everything just takes forever sometimes.
I think design,
roll out.
menu design is such an art, and it's all about balancing the various parts in it. I remember also the first time we opened the business, I remember the minute, like, our father put our parents, their only $50,000. He was 60 years old, and we borrowed a small business loan for $100,000. I was $25,000 owing OSAP. And I was remembered, like, oh my God, I'm going to just put the signature on this paper, and that's it. And so it's all this money, and it's our parents' pension. And it was all on me at the time. That's how I felt. And I'm like, fuck it. That was the fuck it. I'm signing it. So that's the moment you're talking about. Just do it and then figure it out. And again, fortunately, things worked out. Cool. So let's go into one more career kind of related business. We could talk here so
my
long
gosh,
about
I could be with you
food
for
and
hours.
stuff.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that background. Like, you guys both have a food background. I don't necessarily have that background. I'm just, wow. Like, you have to have the insight too, to be able to, like, notice what your customers, because I've noticed in some restaurants, they just want to serve what they like and what they want. And, you have to really respond to what your customers are telling you.
It's a
And they might not
combination
tell
though.
you.
You cannot listen to everyone. You have so many customers asking things, and it's interesting. Like, I from our experience, like, we made 15 varieties of pitas, and everybody was vocal about, I want this, I want a garlic, I want a pesto. But then 20% of what you make is 80% of what you sell. And at the end of the day, you have to make that calculation to cut what isn't selling, even though, like, they're people who love it are the biggest advocates, but they're the noisiest, but you're just not selling. And you cannot, like, it's the storage, it's the packaging, it's all that. And you have to make those hard decisions to go against your customers sometimes, but keep the business. Anyways, so one last thing, and I'm who is your favorite competitor? So what's the best pizza in the city other than yours? And you cannot say Teroni because that's not fair.
Oh man.
You can say more than one also. It's
I mean, I would say Teroni, but I do really enjoy Libretto. When they opened, they had they were one of, not the first to have a wood burning oven, but I guess the most popular at the time. And I was just in awe of it. Finally, there was pizza being made in a wood burning oven, and I could see it. And I got to do a stage there one day and attend the head pizza maker for years and years there. I remember he let me make a pizza during my stage, and I put it in the oven, and being used to gas ovens, they cook slower. And my pizza burst into flames because it was so hot.
I've never seen a pizza burst into flames.
Oh, it's funny. It was, and he was laughing. I think everyone was laughing because you're not used to how fast it cooks. But I would have to say Libretto for sure. They were one of my first experiences with it. There's a pizza that I've never gotten to try, and it's called Una Pizza Napolitana, Anthony Mangieri. It's he started off in New York, and by the time I got to go to a vacation in New York, he had moved his restaurant to San Francisco. And by the time I got to go to San Francisco, he had moved his restaurant back to New York. And he was the first person that I read about that was doing sourdough pizza dough. And I had no idea what sourdough was, but he was mixing it by hand. He had a 20-seat restaurant. He made 3 pizzas. it's still my dream restaurant to have one day.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'll always go back to Tirani to eat pizza, and I think just based on our wood burning ovens, we are our biggest friend and or frenemy would be the people at Libretto, because they do
Yeah.
an excellent job as well.
I remember Libretto on Ossington when it opened. The first
Yeah.
few months, it was
Yeah.
magical. I'd say it was magical
Yes.
more than a few months. I missed that. I went there. I lived further away, and I made that as a destination. And
Mhm.
it was almost intoxicating, just the vibe and the people that were there.
Yeah.
And it
It
still,
was exciting.
it wasn't Ossington that it is today, right? It was
Yeah.
a little rougher.
It was
It
it was
was a
still
little
rough.
more Dupont then.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank
Exactly.
you. So, Liza,
Yeah, let's get a little personal.
Okay.
Well, we'll go easy on you.
Thank you.
Where were you born?
In
Were you-
Rexdale, in
Rexdale, okay.
yeah, in Toronto.
Yeah. And your parents, like, were they born here as well? Or were they
Yeah,
born in?
yeah. My
Okay.
mom was born in Kitchener.
Okay.
Her parents were also born. Her dad was from England. Her
Okay.
mom was born here. Her parents were German.
Right.
And my dad was born here, and his parents, I don't know if his parents were born here or if they immigrated
Right.
to Canada, but his parents were both Italian.
Gotcha. Okay. And what would you say are some of the key lessons that you learned from them,
From my parents,
from your parents? Yeah.
Or
Or what traits did you inherit from them? Like, who do you?
well, I just trying to be patient. I had such supportive parents.
Awesome.
My mom and my dad.
sorry, I'm jumping in just
Yeah.
because I saw through my window his mom. She was hauling heavy stuff into the restaurant when they opened the restaurant. And
Yes.
she's
For
a
her.
nurse, right? She was a
Yes.
nurse.
Yes.
You got free labor there from her.
Yes, she still organizes the book. She's there. Well, now that we have the second store, she used to work 3 days a week, and now she's there 5 days a week. So
So she's
it's
involved.
oh my God, she keeps the place without her organization and figuring out, we can pay this supplier half and we can pay this supplier here. It's a whole other job on top of it, and and, she does it because she loves me, and
Yeah.
thankfully she's great at it.
The difference between us is our mother cleaned the washrooms at Yonge Street the first few months, and that convinced her that she wants to run away from the restaurant business forever.
She
my
had enough.
job was to clean the washroom, so
Yeah.
it was a bit easier. But for my parents, it was when you're a stupid teenager and you get into trouble, whether big or small, they were always supportive. I remember I had a few car accidents. I rear-ended like 2 cars when I was younger, and I'm terrified because you're just like, oh my God, I just
Right.
crashed the car. I was like 18 or 19 coming home from school, and I was at Dufferin and Wilson. I was on my way home, and I hit a van in front of me and crumpled the car, and I called home, and my dad answered. I was like, Dad, I'm so sorry. Like I smashed the car. And he's like, are you okay? And I thought he was just going to yell at me. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm fine. Like, it was just like I had a welt on my arm.
Yeah.
But just super loving, super supportive, very patient. They would pick us up if we had been drinking too much. They would drive us to friends' houses, to hockey practice, to soccer, to swimming.
Sounds very hands-on.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
involved, but they also, there was never any pressure. If we didn't want to do
Right.
something, or if we wanted to try something new,
Yeah.
they were all for it.
Yeah. Well, and my next question was going to be, what's one of the dumbest things you've done as a teenager or adult? But it sounds like you might have just covered that for us.
I don't know. There may be something else.
There sounds
that's,
like there might be
I'm
more.
interested.
No, nothing dumb.
Just crash the car.
Tons of stupid,
For sure. Yeah.
stupid stuff, but luckily nothing where anyone got hurt or injured.
Yeah.
Do you think, David, that how your parents were towards you made you treat people in the same way, where you're more understanding, you give them the benefit of the doubt? you think that is contributed to that?
I think so. I mean, I hope so. I know. I can be short and I get upset, but I do try to be as patient as my mother is. Like when you're on the phone and dealing with whatever it is, and it's infuriating dealing with insurance companies, and it's just like when stuff goes not the way that you want. If you keep your cool, it's a lot easier. And I don't always, but I know that for sure my parents are good examples of it, and I try to keep that.
So you just made me
stay calm.
You made me. I learned my lesson on being calm with big bureaucratic companies with the city of Toronto, and I got so pissed with them. They were missing a garbage bin was stolen, and I begged them for a new garbage bin, and then they got me. They got me to, I'm just going to have to handle it myself. And for me, handling it myself was I'll take the garbage to the bakery. And then she was putting words in my mouth. Sir, you're not allowed to put the garbage in a park. You're not allowed to throw it in. And then she continues speaking for me. And then after that is I record all these calls. And ever since I talked to 311, I think I'm marked as a person, like an aggressive person. So
you're flagged. They have flagged you.
They're recording you. And now I'm like, there's a big X next to my name as a garbage dumper in parks, which I never even thought of doing until she planted that in my mind. The maximum I'll do is take it to the Tim Hortons garbage across the street and throw it there, because they're responsible for 80% of the garbage on our street. But I feel there's universal balance there.
Right.
Of course.
So David, when you were growing up, like what did you want to be when you grow up? Like, did you know you wanted to be in the restaurant industry or?
No. I went to a school for the arts, and and after high school, I didn't go to university or college. I was working as a busboy at a bar at Young and Shepherd, and then I worked at a sign company in Markham. They did like billboards and subway ads. They just produced the physical poster boards and stuff. And that was a fun job. And sort of any career that, or any job that I had when I was younger, like when I worked at the pub, it was like, oh, it'd be neat to have a pub, like learning about it. And then at the sign company, like it'd be neat to have like a sign company. I wanted to have billboards.
Right.
And then I crashed my car.
Right. That situation.
I rear-ended a car, and to take the bus from Rexdale to Markham was 3 hours one way. Wow. And I was like, okay, well, I can't do that. That's insane. So I applied for university. I went to Ryerson for technical theater. And I thought about working in the film and theater backstage, doing production design, carpentry, anything to do with sort of sets and in the art department. And when I started at Ryerson, my best friend got me a job washing dishes at Toroni on Queen Street. And then that's how I sort of fell into that. So that's
how it started.
Yeah. I remember,
what years were you in Ryerson? I'm just curious.
99 to 2004. I started 99. Mm-hmm. And I remember my interview with Vince at Toroni. He's like, how long do you see yourself staying? Because I was 19 at the time. I was like, well, I'm in university, so I imagine 4 years, and then because I'll need the job to pay rent. And
which Toroni was that? The one on Queen Street?
On Queen Street, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I got a job washing dishes in October, and a few months after that, one of the pizza makers was leaving to go work at a magazine because they had just finished OCAD or something. And they asked me if I wanted to train on pizza, and it was
please.
It was such an exciting job.
Yeah.
So they started training me on pizza, and I enjoyed it. And as the years went by, I got better at it, and I liked doing it. And from there, I discovered bread, and I started baking more bread at home, and it just really evolved into to something I really wanted to do, until it got to the point where it's like, I need to do this for myself. sort of in the way that I want to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
Yeah.
was
Funny
it
how
was,
you
it,
have plans and then life takes you elsewhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was never
You allow yourself to do that, right? If you were stuck to your original plans, you'd be somewhere else completely now.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goal was never to be in food, but I don't think it's not like I was, in high school and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor or I'm going to be
Right.
whatever.
So a day, like your typical day, like what's your morning routine? How do you?
In the past 12 months, it was it's varied wildly.
Yeah.
But I'm no longer in the kitchen 5 days a week. Now I would say the past past week, my typical day has been trying to learn what my mom does in terms of keeping our books
Right.
organized.
Yeah.
So, because there's so many bills that need to come out on the 15th and the end of the month. Payroll, we're dealing with the insurance companies. Our insurance company from Dupont refused to insure our second store.
Right.
And
Is that because of the times now? I hear that restaurants are having issue with insurance and because of
everyone's having even our mason who built the oven at Dupont Street. He's having trouble with his he sells fireplaces and they don't want to insure because it's I don't know how the insurance company works but it seems like they're their own there's no regulation and the company that we were with, they raised our rates every year. We had no claims, no incidents. Every year they would raise it. Every year we would pay, and they refused to insure our second store. And so we called a bunch of different brokers, and I'm sure they all did their best. And 4 of them couldn't find anything. One of them could find some insurance, but it wasn't exactly what we needed. And then the 5th broker we called, Megan, she found us a company that would insure both restaurants for cheaper than what.
Can you give them a shout out, the company? Do you know them offhand? Because I think it would be great to feature companies that are willing to work with the industry when it's like banks. It's when it rains, they won't give you the umbrella. And when you're doing really well, then they'll give you money, which kind of makes no sense.
Yeah, her name's Megan Hederwick. I'll find out the company that I think the company is called IBMG. That's her email address. But amazing. She's a broker and she found us a company, and this is running on. But I mean, I think our typical day right now is how to grow the business, how to retain our customers and become more efficient because 5 years ago, even a year and a half ago, we were a full service restaurant that was focused on full service. Now we're a grocery store that does takeout, which one day we'll have a dining room. Yeah. And how do we have prepared meals? How do we do sausages? How do we become, I guess, more integrated with our communities? Yeah.
Dave, I think that like you moving, and I found the same in our business is because at first you do everything. And then slowly, as time progresses, you get that person making the pizza and it's the best day you ever had. And then the person washing dishes and then you kind of manage the business more, right? Yeah. And what I really liked about on your bio, you said that our intention is the attention to detail, but we will use a mixer as time progresses. And it's true, like you have to be honest with yourself. And sometimes even using the mixer will give you a better product than using your hands, because at the end of the day, the hands can only be as strong. Like it can't be industrial or not industrial, but you can't make the 100 or 200 pizzas a day.
You can only do so much with it.
And you can almost have better quality when you're really stringent about how you do things with equipment rather than by hand. Or have a bunch of not strangers, but employees who always will do things a little differently, right?
Yes. Of course. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own. I mean, even the breads that, we use the mixers to mix everything, but they're still shaped by hand, and
Right.
they're scored by hand, and you can see who
Yeah,
scores
yeah.
who scores what.
Cool.
Yeah, you get to know it.
Liza, do you want us to move to city?
Yeah, let's go to city. Let's talk
Let's
city.
move to city.
Yeah,
So
go for it.
what is we're all citizens of Toronto, I'd say Metro Toronto, and almost it's Southern Ontario. I find that Prince Edward County is now like a suburb of Toronto until we were barred from going there a couple of days ago.
Yep.
And so what's your favorite neighborhood in the city?
I think the neighborhood that I live in. I live by Chinatown. I live on Beverly Street.
And nice. It's so pretty.
I'm close to Kensington and Chinatown and College Street.
Do you go there often to Kensington?
Yes. Now, in the past, the past year, we've started going more just because of the pandemic. And before we opened the restaurant on Dupont, I would go a lot more just because I had more free time. But
what would you do in Kensington? Just sit in the park, or is there a favorite coffee shop that you like there?
No, usually just grocery shop, and it was my cut through to get to different areas. Like I'd ride my bicycle through there, but Spadina is just so busy, and it's a huge, beautiful street with lots of interesting shops, lots of graffiti. The streetcars are constantly running. Like it's very busy. It feels very alive.
Like it's one of those streets that hasn't changed much, I think, in the last, I don't know how many years, right? A lot of the city has been gentrified. This particular, even Kensington, I'm feeling it's changing a little too much lately, but still it hasn't sold its soul, and hopefully it won't.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because even though it's so busy, as soon as you get off of Spadina either way, it's so quiet. Like there's small parks everywhere. Where the Grange Park is right behind us. I lived there about 20 years, but I'm very close to everything, and it still seems like a quiet neighborhood. Like where my street is, it's an oasis. And as soon as I venture out a couple blocks, I'm in a big city.
Yeah, I ride, I think, through your neighborhood because I come from Regent Park to Kensington. I love Kensington Market. I love Ideal Coffee there, and sitting in their front yard, their patio, looking at you feel like you're in the 70s or 60s.
Yes.
And it's just, what a place. And I shouldn't be telling people this because I don't want it to be too busy, but it's
you're going to send
such a
people there,
magical
Alon. Well, those smaller streets off of Spadina, like they have older trees. The trees are more mature. Like those are old neighborhoods.
Yep.
They're, they have been there a while. They've really seen the city change, over the years. So yeah, it's fortunate when you get to live in that pocket.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you almost don't feel like you're in the city.
Yeah, though I Kensington I love so much, but I'm not sure I want to live there because I think I won't love it as much. I suspect it. I don't know. It's one of those things. So leading us to another question, what's your favorite park in the city?
Ooh.
Sounds like you don't have time to go to the park, but
well, I would say Bickford Park or Christie Pitts. Bickford's the one that's on the south side of Bloor, behind that school, like the Adult Learning Center or something. And then or
is it
Christie
off
Pitts.
of Harvard, between Harvard?
Yeah,
and
it's in Harvard and then Grace, I think. Yeah, it's down in there. It's I just like it because it's very. It seems very hidden. Like it's down. It's lined with trees. It's never very busy. They used to have a bocce court in it, but now it's a dog park. So it's fallen on my list. But I like that. And then now that I have a son, we go to the Grange Park behind the AGO.
That is a beautiful park. It's
It's
Done
they
really
they
well, yeah.
they completely redid it over the past. It reopened, I guess, officially last year, and new playgrounds for the kids, new landscaping. They've put in new features, new lighting. It's terrific. It
Yeah.
it doesn't have a splash pad. They have like fountains that come out of the water, but another one other park though is just by the Dupont store, Carlton Park, behind where you used to live.
Mhm.
Yeah.
By
It's
near the railways and the school.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
hidden gem also.
yeah, but I mean, I think Bickford is probably my
Oh.
my favorite.
Liza, do you have a
Gosh,
favorite park?
they're all gonna start getting busier now. They're all gonna start. It's the same one actually. It's the one at Grace and Harvard. I don't
Yeah.
even know the name of it. I
Yeah.
go with a friend of mine, and I came to find out that used to be like a lake. It used to be like there used to be water in there.
Oh, a
wow.
reservoir, I think.
Yeah,
right?
like a reservoir of some kind.
Oh,
And
neat.
when you're in it, you kind of think, oh yeah, that makes sense actually.
Yeah,
But
100%.
we like it because people are very, like they kind of keep to themselves, but it's so lovely. They have, they'll just put out a blanket and, somebody will playing a guitar. Like it's really unassuming, and it's not, I think it is because it kind of dips down. I think a lot of people don't really know, or they don't make an effort to go down there. It's just, but it's a lovely spot. It's a lovely spot. And the mature trees always always add. Yeah.
I like the one I live in Regent Park, and I walk up to Cabbage Town. So it's you have just by the zoo. Yes. So there's
The big hill.
It's west of the highway. So you have the big hill on one end, and people just go there with their dogs. And then you have a little area by the zoo, which is by the farm, which is just so beautiful. And I love sitting on a bench like an old man and just look at the world go by. And I think the past year I learned to appreciate parks a lot more.
I've learned to appreciate the benches.
Yes.
I always used to think, who sits on these benches? And now I'm like, where's there a bench? Now I appreciate the benches.
So David, now we'll go to something a little less pleasant, and bureaucracy.
Okay.
And being a business owner, what was one of your biggest bureaucratic nightmares with the city? Do you have an example?
I think patios are going to start to take over that list right now, but
well, we didn't have a patio at Gerrard. You know what? Opening the second store, not being able to go to East York Civic Center, and applying to get our municipal business license has been the most challenging. That and getting new garbage or recycling bins for the Dupont store, because if you're not the property owner, you need them to submit the application to get new bins. But
we share our trauma with recycling bins and garbage.
Yeah, it's tricky, but the biggest or the most infuriating thing has just been dealing with email. And when you're trying to fill out applications for the city, because sometimes it's confusing,
Right.
sometimes you're not sure. And a big excuse is, well, it's COVID, so everyone's working from home and you have to do email, but you can get a lot more accomplished with a phone call.
right.
People seem to be afraid to answer their phones these days. I think as a business owner, you always answer your phone, regardless. But just the city's been doing a good job, but they're sometimes a little bit inflexible or confusing wording. And I realize they have to make it sort of simple enough for everyone to understand, especially people who, don't have English as a first language, but sort of the lack of accessibility in the past year on certain occasions has been a nightmare, because there's no one to call. You send an email and you're just like, who knows? I was told to email one department and the email got bounced back because it no longer existed.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always find like when we open a business, it's that you're under tremendous pressure and so many moving parts. And when the city just decides to go robotic on you, and it's just so frustrating, where you're sacrificing everything, you're investing everything you have, and they're just there is zero understanding towards entrepreneurs. Well, not zero, but very less understanding, and then you have to
find the right people.
So yeah, I think Eddie, the architect, who's
Yes.
brilliant at kind of helping you learn City Hall and navigate City Hall, and
He's the best.
he is the best. So that's great. If you were to encounter a tourist, what would you suggest as a must do in the city, like a must see?
Ooh. Well, I mean, the CN Tower, Niagara Falls, and then sort of depending on what if they're into sports, like, I mean, luckily we have the football club now, TFC. Really, it depends on what they are. Like, I mean, if I have people coming for the first time, we'll go to Niagara Falls, we'll go to the CN Tower. I'll take them to the Toronto Island, because it's, that's a lot of fun, because you can navigate through, a big city. Excuse me. You can navigate through the city to get down to the ferries, and then you take it across, and you're looking at, Toronto, and it's gorgeous. And then you're on an island, and you're on a beach, and it's beautiful. And then you come back, and you're back into a huge city. Like, it's such an escape.
Yeah, I think the island saved me last summer. Just say, like, you go and Hanlon's or wherever, and you just look at, like you said, it's a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
What do you think, by the way, about connecting the city to the island with a bridge?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, it's difficult to get there.
And expensive also. If you're a party of 5, will be over $50.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think it's a good idea. It doesn't need to be massively connected with, bridges going over everywhere, but
even a pedestrian bridge, right? Like, you're thinking pedestrian, right?
Yeah, like the ones that they have over the train tracks in Liberty Village. Like, it doesn't need to be the Brooklyn Bridge or anything, just something where you can ride your bicycles over as a family, where, you can walk across. Like, it doesn't need to be accessible by vehicle, just more accessible.
Yeah, we agree with you here.
Yeah, it's an area. It's so unfortunate, because it for the people that are very much in the city, it's your opportunity to be in nature a bit more, and to be outside, and people who visit. I mean, I know when we've had family visit, they can't believe it's a lake. They can't believe we have this isn't a lake. This is like the ocean. And I'm like, no, it's a lake. So, and the beaches too, like, it's for people who live in the city and who don't have the luxury of, let's say, a cottage. That's the getaway. That's really the getaway for kids and families. So we're going to be pushing that.
There are thousands of people living by the lake, and you see them all going to Trinity, right? Trinity is packed because there's no other big enough park. And imagine if there was a easy access to the island. It's like, it would be crazy used with people. So very cool. Well, last question before the quick fire. What charity is close to your heart?
I think always the Hospital for Sick Children. Only because for kids, whatever reason they're there, whether it's illnesses or injuries, they're just kids, and they need a good start. So I would say that's the first.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Liza.
All right, so we're gonna do the quick fire.
Okay.
And it's gonna be literally the first thing that comes to your head. It's not, no, they're easy. We're easy. Okay, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Dark chocolate or milk chocolate? Please don't say white.
Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate. Beer, wine, or whiskey?
You would be banned if it was white chocolate.
Yeah, if it was white.
We should start with that question, Liza, and then decide if we continue with it.
Do you like white chocolate? And
then it's like over. The interview is over.
Beer for me.
Beer for you. You're a beer guy. Okay. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Lunch.
Like a true Italian. Home cooked meal or takeout?
I mean, it all depends on who's cooking and where's the takeout from, but maybe home cooked.
Home cooked.
Yeah.
City or countryside?
Ooh, city.
City. Favorite season?
Summer.
Summer. Night out or stay at home?
Ooh, now stay home.
Stay home? Now stay home?
Yeah.
Years ago, it would have been night out.
Yes.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, morning.
Bath or
morning.
shower?
Ooh, 50-50.
Depends on time, right?
Yeah.
When entering the swimming pool, do you tiptoe in or do you jump in?
Jump.
Jump. I knew that. I think I probably could have answered that for you.
It
Cat
goes
or dog?
entrepreneurs, I think.
Right? Cat or dog person?
Ooh, dog.
Dog. Books, Netflix, TV?
Books and TV.
Books and TV?
Yeah.
Phone calls or texts?
Phone calls.
And finally, this is the important one, music or podcast?
Oh, music.
Music. There you go. See, that was easy enough, right?
Yes.
Amazing.
Went too hard on you.
I find you learn more about people from these questions and answers, right? It's one. It's just easy and quick, but you learn a lot.
Yeah.
So, David, thank you
Yes.
really very much for,
Yeah. Oh,
for
your
sure.
time and all your insight and love for the city and love for people.
Thank
I
you.
think you do a great job there.
Thank you so much. I
I
appreciate
really
it.
love the just a nugget of when you enter your store and you have the employee of the month. So Liza, there's like from day one, I think they had one employee, and he
Yeah.
always had employee of the month on the
Oh,
wall with the goofiest photo. And I always I envy, like they look so great up there. And so that's like really, I kind of sums it up with
Yeah.
employee of the month with like one employee. So
his name's Aiden Dennison. He still lives in the neighborhood, and he's
oh,
fantastic.
shout out.
Yeah.
Give him a shout out.
what would you like kind of as a message to your customers, to your community, if you have the stage now, what would you
Yeah.
like to say?
And maybe remind everyone where they can find you,
Yeah.
just let
Well,
us-
I mean,
yeah.
thanks for all the support. Without the neighborhood and our customers, we wouldn't be here, and we couldn't do it. So thanks to everyone. And we have the store on Dupont Street, 1617 Dupont, and at Gerrard, 1501 Gerrard Street. But thanks for supporting us. Check out our neighbors. Like we post our friends that are doing stuff, other businesses that inspire us. Check our Instagram for that. But thank you for the continued support. Stay safe. And if you see someone that needs a hand, just lend them a hand. And if you think there's something that we can help you with, give us a call, because if we can, we'll do our best to do it.
Yeah.
And if we can't, maybe we know someone else that can help. So
Yeah. We're all connected, right?
Thank you,
exactly.
David. I'm going to
connected,
divert all my mail to you from now on. You're a 10-minute drive away from me.
We got a lot of packages. So
My
it's
only
no
request
problem.
is tell your people not to open the packages for
Of
their
course.
just for their own mental safety.
Of course.
Okay.
So just
Yes.
one more thing before we go, David, because I don't want to miss it, is you wanted to give a shout out to Meal Share.
Oh, Meal Share, that's right.
Yeah.
It's a company. We participate with them, and
Right.
tons of other restaurants in the city, in the province, across the country. And Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at both stores, we have an $11 pizza special. And
Okay.
every one of those pizzas that is sold, we donate $1 to Meal Share, which goes to
Okay.
providing meals for youth in need in Toronto. And then they also have international organizations to provide meals for youth in need. And you can go on their website. You can find Tironi is a participant. Lazy Daisy Cafe beside us here on Gerrard is a participant.
Great.
It's
We're gonna put them in the show notes. So
Yeah,
people,
it's-
you can look at the show notes below, and that'll give a bit of information, and we'll have their website linked.
they're,
It sounds like
they're-
a great cause. So
they're really good. And
Yeah.
when you're trying to find stuff, they do stuff. They partner with restaurants in the cities that help youth in those cities. And then they
excellent.
also have sort of an international arm. So
Okay.
They're
Cool.
we started working with them a couple years ago, and it's been, it's been great. They
Yeah.
send us little updates on how many meals that we've helped to provide, and they link
Wonderful.
us with other restaurants in the city. So
Okay.
yeah, they're a great organization.
Okay.
David,
Thanks so much.
thank you
My pleasure.
so
Appreciate
much.
your time. Appreciate your
Excellent.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll
Yeah.
talk, and we'll let you know when
We
this goes on and when we release it.
Yeah.
That's
We'll be in
great.
touch.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Expect to
Thanks,
double your
David.
sales. So we'll tell you to staff your stores appropriately. And we're
I
going to
look
move
forward
from
to
2 pizzas to 4 pizzas.
I can't wait.
That's what we can promise. Lisa will have one. I'll have another.
Excellent.
Okay,
Okay.
brilliant.
Thanks, David.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay.